Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Disney Deconstructed Podcast. I'm your host, Lain. I'm here joined, as always, by my good friends Jake Moody.
Yo.
And Spencer Bennett.
What's up, everybody?
Today, we're going to be talking about some various, news. That's like whatever news there isn't a whole lot, but we're going to be talking about it. There's been a few more movie delays, so we'll go over those fairly quickly. We found a park game that we're gonna play. It's like sort of a park ranking thing that we're gonna do to pass some time, but it should be a lot of fun. And then we'll also be going through some other ranking type things that we'll just figure out how to have some fun in the midst of this crisis that we're all in. So we're gonna have some fun today. So first of all, we'll go through the news. There's been some movie delays.
Fun today.
Yeah, mainly Spider-Man got delayed, which I don't think had been announced before when we went through movie delays I think it was 2 episodes ago, right? So Sony has delayed the Spider-Man films. That was like, I think it was the sequel to Into the Spider-Verse has been delayed. It's October 2022 now, correct?
Got delayed by how many months is it between April and October? 7? 6
a
months?
while. That's a decent
Yeah.
amount of months.
It's like half a year.
Yeah. And then the third and final movie in the Homecoming trilogy with Spider-Man, Tom Holland Spider-Man is going. I cannot talk today. With Tom Holland Spider-Man is going to be coming out on November 5th, 2021, instead of July 16th, 2021. So it's going to be coming out sort of like half a year later. And then Sony's other Spider-Man universe movie, Venom: Let There Be Carnage.
Oh yeah.
Which is the second Venom movie, I guess.
Can we talk about, before we even go into the date, they put out they didn't call it a trailer, I don't think. They maybe didn't even call it a teaser, but literally they put up a YouTube video which probably has millions of views. Yeah. And you forget, just because it's a trailer, it's not just promoting the movie. They're making money like on YouTube, just like everybody else makes money on YouTube. And the video was, it just said Venom. And then in the same kind of font, but smaller and red, it said "There Will Be Carnage" under it. And then it just said "Coming Soon."
Oh, so people just thought it was a tagline?
No. That's the name of the movie. It was announcing the name
Carnage.
of the movie. Right. It was announcing the name of the sequel. But the thing is, they put up like a whole special YouTube video for it. I don't know. I just thought it was silly.
Yeah.
I don't think I have not seen a movie do that before.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I know that a lot of people were actually fans of the first Venom movie. I was not really. I thought that it was kind of fun, but I didn't really like it.
It was fun for the wrong reasons. It was fun.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. But anyways, it's now opening on July 25th, 2021, instead of the original date, which was October of this year. So yeah. 2 of Disney's other Marvel Studios movies are being delayed. That's Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness and Thor: Love and Thunder. Doctor Strange was moved to November 5th, 2021. We might have talked about that before. And so that's opening now. That's opening in 2021, or is that 2022 now?
I guess it was moved like a week ago to November 5th, 2021, and then like 2 days ago they just moved it again.
Oh, so that one's been moved twice.
Yeah,
Damn. Now
it's in March 2022.
So that one's now March 2022, and then Thor: Love and Thunder was also moved twice. It was recently moved to February 2022, and then it was moved up February 11th, 2022.
It's like 1 week, yeah.
I wonder what the thought.
Well, I'm probably, with all the delays going on, something got moved to that date.
Yeah, I
And
see.
they
Yeah.
Like from a different
well,
studio, and they didn't want to
mhm.
compete.
They're like, well, we'd make more money just moving up.
Right.
And if you'd like to take a closer look at all this, there's a great Verge article. It's what we're reading this on. Sony delays Spider-Man films, forcing Marvel to move Doctor Strange and Thor sequels again. So yeah, that's on The Verge. And so yeah, the final dates for those movies, Doctor Strange is opening on March 25th, 2022, and Thor: Love and Thunder is opening on February 11th, 2022. So those are going to be pretty close together. Actually, that's kind of surprising to me.
Yeah, that is really close.
Yeah.
Probably to their detriment, because I feel like at this point, like what we were talking about before with Black Widow, I was
Yeah.
like, although people were excited for it, like it's only gonna be more fun waiting, honestly.
Yeah.
With the way that Marvel sets up their movies, because like I think a big reason why Lain and I weren't that hot on Spider-Man Far From Home
Right.
is because it was just so close to like such a definitive ending that it just made Endgame feel like it didn't matter nearly as much. Just like
Right.
watching another story. Iron Man is all in the movie, you know. So it just felt silly. So I think waiting is in their favor. But also, yeah, you're totally right. Those dates are like really close.
Yeah,
So,
I
just
was going to
over a
bring that up
month.
as well.
seems like very different tones, honestly, like what we've been talking about with Doctor Strange. Hopefully it's going to be like dark and creepy, and then
right.
obviously Taika Waititi's movies have been colorful and fun, but regardless, there's 2 Marvel movies. So
Yeah, that I was going to bring up the same thing as you. Was the thing with Far From Home, with the part of the reason that I had a negative, I think I had a negative reaction to it, was because it was so close to Endgame. And I think that with movies that are part of this, I guess you can call them, the saga, I feel like you have to space them out at least more than a month.
you do. It just felt weird.
How far
Maybe
was
that had to do with the Sony thing, because those are technically Sony movies.
Yeah, possibly. I suppose maybe Sony has more, that has at least a bit of say so
Right.
in the dating. What was the dates like for Captain Marvel versus Endgame? Because Captain Marvel came out was it 2 months ahead of Endgame?
Captain Marvel was like March, and Endgame I think was May.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And Ant-Man and the Wasp was somewhere in the middle.
Ant-Man and the Wasp.
4 Marvel movies?
No, Ant-Man and the Wasp was before Captain Marvel.
It was 2018, I think.
Right.
Ant-Man and the Wasp was like August.
Ant-Man and the Wasp was that the movie right before Infinity War? It was either right before.
No, Captain Marvel was.
Ant-Man and the Wasp was between Infinity War and Captain Marvel. It was in like that August of that year.
Damn, Marvel makes movies like TV shows.
Yeah, they
It
really
is. It's a giant TV show.
Crazy. I mean, I really like them, obviously, but it's just crazy, like
so
how they do that.
90% of the population. That's why they make so much money.
So literally in between Infinity War and Endgame, which by the way are still like top 3 highest grossing movies of all time, critically loved, and
isn't the third one like Force Awakens? It's like all
probably
Disney.
I mean, and then the 5th one is Avatar. I mean, like literally they're all. But anyways, I think Jurassic World sneaks in there. By the way, I love that.
Yeah,
Jurassic bizarre.
Yeah, Jurassic World does sneak in.
That opened and like just made so much money. And
Titanic
was
is still up there as well,
which is crazy. And I've never seen Titanic actually.
Neither have
I gotta add that to my list. But anyways, so in between Infinity War and Endgame, which are these 2 big giant ending movies, they still found a way to put Ant-Man and the Wasp and Captain Marvel in the middle. It's just like printing money. They can make so many movies. And I mean, Ant-Man and the Wasp, say what you will. I wasn't a big fan of Captain Marvel either. Yeah, I mean, it's not even.
I hated Ant-Man and the Wasp.
It's got an awesome after credit scene, but that's just because it fit right into the
well, like in Endgame, when he came back, I was like, all right, I don't need to watch Ant-Man and the Wasp now. I can get the ending of it.
Yeah, and the ending of it has nothing to do with the movie. It's the after credit scene. The movie itself is very goofy and something you can easily skip. I'd say.
The only thing that connects it really to Endgame is the after credit scene. Spoiler alert.
But I'm just saying it's just crazy how they can fit those 2 movies in the middle. But then, like, when you think of the MCU as a scope, like, you kind of, like, phase those ones out.
Right.
bookending it are so good that we like forgot about the middle ones, even though they still made millions of dollars.
Yeah,
Just like
and one of them
sandwiched in the middle.
introduced a completely new character.
I know, it's crazy. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
I like Captain Marvel. I didn't think it was bad.
I don't think it's bad, and I
Yeah.
definitely owe it a rewatch. But
Yeah, I thought that it was fine. I wasn't the biggest fan of it because I was kind of getting tired of like the origin stories by that point.
Right.
It was the same thing with Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange bugged me more because it felt like he felt so Tony Starky to me. Just his attitude and everything. But
Totally.
I really liked a lot of the sequences in Captain Marvel. I just didn't like. I think Jake pointed this out actually last episode. I didn't like the twist that they tried to throw in. It was very confusing. But I loved the climactic action sequence with it was No Doubt that they played during. Yeah, Jude Law was good. Yeah. They played No Doubt during the climactic action sequence.
You liked that one? That bit?
Yeah, it was sick.
I was like, I thought it was fun and like a great like character moment, but like the internet hated that.
Oh, I thought it was sick. I just
so
like
much like
I just like 90s music, so I thought it was sick.
No, that's pretty much. I mean, to me, it felt like Tony Stark with AC/DC. Like I didn't think it was. I thought it was like they're choosing a song.
Right.
That is representative of this character's personality.
And that's kind of a Marvel trope at this point. Like,
right. They have their bits. Like Peter Quill's got like the mixtapes, and Tony Stark likes classic rock, and I guess Brie Larson, Captain Marvel likes punk rock and pop punk from the 90s.
Right.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Thor, which is when the movie was set.
Bugs on the ground.
Sense. But I didn't mind that scene. If we're gonna review a movie from 2 years ago, I didn't mind that scene, like how the internet freaked out. I mean, it is fun and fine and colorful and whatever. What I thought was really wacko was the like proper climax of the movie, which I thought you were bringing up, Lain, where it's her and Jude Law in the desert.
Oh yeah, I didn't like that.
Like, you're gonna have to kill me to bring me in. We're gonna fight to the death. And
the Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Moment. Right, and then she Raiders of the Lost Ark. I remember talking to people and seeing some videos, and they were like, "This is like a really powerful moment for like feminist filmmaking because she doesn't need to play by his rules." And like it was this whole thing, which I'm sure it was. But I don't. Just that movie had so many moments like that to me where I just got confused because they set it up like it was going to be the big action scene, like movies I had seen that the studio made. And then it was subverted, but it just left me more confused than into the movie, which is the exact same thing that happened to me at the midpoint. That's my review of Captain Marvel 2 years later.
Yeah.
There you have it, folks.
And I think we have a whole episode where we like review it, but
probably.
Yeah, I think so. It might have been just Jake and I, but anyway, the reason that, and the Verge article does a great job talking about this, but the reason that this current date change news is really big is that this is the first time that an order change in terms of movies has really happened in the Marvel Cinematic Universe when it comes to release dates. Because Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness was supposed to come out before the third Tom Holland Spider-Man movie.
Weird.
And it's now coming out after Thor: Love and Thunder when it was supposed to come out beforehand.
Oh, is it? Mm-hmm. Dude, there's so many dates. I'm confused.
So to me, that means that, I mean, now they're probably going to have to restructure some story.
Right, because you know how Marvel movies are.
Or it's not going to end up being as multiverse as the name would insinuate.
Or they'll just redo the post-credit scenes.
That too.
These movies, like they sow hints for later, but they're not as overt. Like the post-credit scenes are basically just like TV shows when they have a next week on.
That's
what they are.
Yeah.
Which is cool. They're just little stingers, but they'll probably also, like, a lot of times they're not related to the movie you've just watched. They probably could just switch them around.
It's true.
Yeah, remember the one with Thanos when he like grabbed the gauntlet and he was like, I'll do it myself, and it had nothing to do with the rest of the movie that happened.
Was that Age of Ultron?
I think it was Guardians of the Galaxy.
No, that was.
Oh, really? Oh, you're so right.
I wonder what the Guardians one was. I don't remember.
know.
But yeah, that was for sure Age of Ultron.
Yeah. The best post-credit scene to date has still, in my opinion, been the first Avengers one, where you just see Thanos, and then it's like, oh, so this is the end game.
Dude,
pun
that's so
intended.
sick.
It's so good. That was like 2012. They showed an image of Thanos, which is nothing what Thanos like. Does Thanos in that clip looks nothing like Thanos?
Oh yeah, it looks
in
so
Endgame.
gross.
But that's fine. He was like he looked like a video game character. So he didn't have anyone to model after.
Yeah.
Right.
And then they cast Josh Brolin. Like, okay, he looks different. But see, everyone can accept that.
Yeah.
Everyone's mad. Like, it's like, okay, that in just the real world, like filmmaking sense, it's impossible to do that.
Right.
Yeah, it wasn't like they knew that Josh Brolin was gonna play him like 10 years in advance.
Why would you?
Yeah,
it's not like The
prior.
Rock with Black Adam, where DC cast him in 1995.
Yeah.
He's still not in a movie.
That doesn't happen every day.
Dude, that is the most frustrating news announcement I think ever. He's like, I'm Black Adam. I'm gonna be in Shazam, and he's like, just kidding. I'm not in Shazam. I'm getting my own movie. It's coming out in 2028. You're like, why did you even tell us?
Is that ever gonna happen?
I'd like to see him fight Shazam. Shazam is a great movie if you haven't seen Shazam.
Agreed.
I'm going to go ahead and go over this last little bit of the Verge article. So apparently one positive effect, if you happen to find it positive or not, that's up to you, of the shift is that Sony's long in development hell Uncharted movie with Tom Holland, based on the Uncharted video games, who will be released a bit early now due to all the movie dates changing. So Uncharted is moving from October 8th, 2021 up to July 16th, 2021, which is that means it's taking the original spot of the third Spider-Man Homecoming movie.
So another action adventure movie starring Tom Holland is taking the place of a different action adventure.
Yeah.
Well, they're both Sony.
Precisely.
Sony's in charge of the Spider-Man movie, so that makes sense why they would move. They don't want.
I had no idea that those were in development or had casted him or anything. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Apparently, he's playing a young Nathan Drake.
Is there going to be an older Nathan Drake in the movie, or is the whole point like? I know you don't cast Tom Holland for a flashback. Yeah. That's a stupid question.
Yeah, we don't.
I know, but he's in so much stuff already.
Yeah,
I mean, he's a good voice actor. He's really good as Ian, and
right. Agreed. It's just how much stuff are we going to put this guy in?
How much stuff was Chris Pratt in after Guardians? Chris Pratt was in everything.
That's real.
Hey, dude.
Yeah.
He's still got like 6 more Spies in Disguise movies to do. So
it's true. It's true. That's Will Smith's entire income these days.
Yeah. There's apparently other Sony movies, including Fatherhood, The Nightingale, Hotel Transylvania 4. Jesus Christ. Man from Toronto, and all of those received new dates as part of the slate shift as well.
In a slow Disney news week, we'll just give you generic
news. So there's your Sony news if you wanted that. So thanks to The Verge for that. But yeah, so
that happened.
If you're a Tom Holland fan, look forward to 2021.
Yeah.
Where he'll be in literally every film.
Yeah,
you go to the movie theater, you're just going to select which Tom Holland you want.
Yeah, literally.
You want young Indiana Jones Tom Holland?
Oh my God.
Tom Holland?
Remember when everyone was on Twitter about how Chris Pratt should play Indiana Jones?
Yeah, I would have been game for that.
I would have been game for it.
It would have been a different character than Harrison Ford, but like into it, why not?
Are they still... They're still making Indiana Jones 5 with Harrison Ford.
Keeps been delayed 15 times, though. Similar to Black Adam.
He's like, I'm going to play him. I'm like, Harrison, are you going to be able to walk when the movie comes out?
I know.
Like, no shade. You're an icon, but, like, you're getting up there, man. Can you physically look like Indiana Jones? Like, look any
He's going to be entirely CG'd. It's just going to be he's going to be voicing himself.
Well, at that point, I'm like, just do the I don't know what movies have done this, but this is a thing that movies do. Do like the passing of the torch. Do like a flashback where it's like bookended by Harrison Ford, and you can just tell a story to someone.
Oh, I would be down for that.
Yeah, it's a cheap out, and a lot of franchises have done that. But I'd rather watch that than like.
Oh, you know what movie does
Harrison
that really
Ford.
Good?
What?
Casino Royale does that really well.
100%.
It's the new Bonds, but it's like a prequel and they set up a new world.
I want Indiana Jones to become like a Bond character where a bunch of people can play them, because Indiana Jones is not about the character of Indiana Jones. It's about that adventure movie. It's those,
right.
That's what you're going to see. Like, is Indiana Jones that great of a character himself? Not really. I mean, he's afraid of snakes.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know. The
character traits,
the flashback thing that you were talking about, they did that in which one was it? Last Crusade.
Oh yeah, it was River Phoenix.
Yeah, River Phoenix played him, and River Phoenix didn't look much like Harrison Ford, but
he was just a big actor in the 90s before he passed away.
Right, but he played him really well.
Yeah.
Like, he did a really good job, even though he didn't really look much like him. That's the third one, Last Crusade.
I'm going to throw out a wild casting right now of someone I think could be really good. Robert Pattinson.
Oh, okay.
I think he could be a great Indiana Jones.
I agree.
Even better Nathan Drake, actually, now that I think about it.
Wow, yeah. Okay. That's okay.
That's the guy who's playing Batman,
Yeah. Like, I watched Good Time the other day because I saw it on Netflix, and I was like, okay, I like him. He has the look of Batman. I'm gonna see if he is as good of an actor as everyone says.
Dude, he's good.
He's so good. Yeah, he's really talented.
Have you seen The Lighthouse?
No, I need to watch that. I don't really want to watch it when I'm home alone. It'll probably freak me out.
Yeah, check out The Lighthouse. He's really good in that. Him and Willem Dafoe.
Yeah, no, Robert Pattinson's amazing, and I think he's got that physicality to him.
Yeah, definitely. I think so. He's very
got like a Harrison Ford style build where he's like muscular but not like jacked. He's just kind of looks athletic, you know?
Yeah, I remember being like kind of iffy when it was announced, and then I watched The Lighthouse, and then I think I saw him in something else. Oh, I saw The King, that Netflix movie with Timothée Chalamet, and Robert Pattinson's in it. He plays like a French prince or something, so he has like a French accent. And after I saw those two movies, I was like, yeah, okay, he can be Batman.
He earned it. Man.
Yeah, he's a really good actor.
Another distraction. Look at us go. This is what happens when there's no news, kids.
Yeah, we just talk about shit. Yeah. Anyway, we played a little part game right before we started recording. Jake, do you want to explain the rules to this?
Sure, I guess, because I found it. Well, first of all, shout out to Roadies with Hole Punch, but Roadie, the first Roadie, is like Joe Roadie on Twitter.
It's Roadies is like a fan club, isn't it?
Right, the unofficial fan club of Disney's #1 Imagineer. #keep dangling, and then it's got like an ear emoji. I guess it's a podcast. Out on all major platforms.
Oh, wow. Roadies, let's work together.
Yeah, shout to them, I guess.
Connect with Roadies.
Thank you for giving us content to talk about. So basically, it was it's one of these kind of list things. It's you have $15 to bring back all these various extinct WDW rides, and then they're tiered out like these are equal to $5. All the way to $1. So do we each want to?
Let's read out the tier, like the options.
Yeah. Okay. So the $5 one, which is the most expensive, is Horizons Imagination with the Dreamfinder, so the original. Great Movie Ride, Adventures Club, and Magic Kingdom Nighttime Parade.
Spectro Magic, I think is what it's called.
Okay. I'll take your word on it. For $4 is there 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, Illuminations, Alien Encounter, which is so cool. Mr. Toads and Osborne Lights. I have no idea what that is.
The Osborne Lights was like a Christmas thing.
Yeah, I think
they stopped doing.
Okay, for $3 is the Backlot Tour at MGM.
If you know what the Osborne Lights is, you're a real nerd.
I know.
Well, I think it's where Galaxy's Edge is now.
Oh, okay.
Or some. Weird. I could be super incorrect.
Fucking Hollywood Studios.
Anyways, for $3 is the Backlot, Body Wars, Energy. I don't know what Energy
Ellen's
is.
Energy Adventure.
Wow, that's only $3. That changes my ranking. World of Motion and Hydrolators. I don't know what Hydrolators is either.
For ultimate Disney nerd ranking. Tell us what Hydrolators is.
Yeah, exactly. For $2 is Captain Neo, Communicore, Maelstrom, The Skyway, and Lights, Motors, Action. And then for $1, a Timekeeper. I don't know what that is. Food Rocks. The only reason I know that is because the animatronic was stolen.
No, that's Cranium.
I actually do know Food Rocks though. It's the Yeah, it's the food, dancing, and singing animatronics, which is actually kind of cool. Their original Snow White, I guess, is gone. That never crossed my mind when we were
it's
there.
not there anymore. I think they closed it.
Cranium Command, there is where the animatronic.
That's Buzzy.
And then Stitch. So,
well, I think I speak for everyone where I picked 15 Stitches.
Oh my god!
I wanted.
I didn't expect you to say that, dude. I think there was only one joke that would make me properly laugh there, and you hit it. You had so many options, and you got the exact one that was going to work for me.
I'm so glad.
Okay, well, why don't you guys go first? Because honestly, maybe I have a little dyslexia, because when I was reading this the first time around, before I knew we were talking about it on the podcast, I didn't read it closely enough, because now, knowing that Ellen's Energy and World of Motion, I completely forgot about. Also, the backlot was not worth $3. That should have been a $1. But anyways, go on. You guys
are Spencer, you go first.
Okay, I got my my notes right here. So in the $5 tier, I've only chosen one attraction, and that is the Imagination with Dreamfinder.
Okay.
That is a ride that launched an entire character purely from the parks, and Figment is like a fan favorite. And the ride today is just kind of a shell of its former self. And
Absolutely.
I know when we went, I had the best reaction out of the three, but the consensus was like, this needs love.
Piece of fucking shit.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't say that.
A lot of
but
love,
it needs some love, because it's such an Epcot classic, and people love Figment. Like, Figment is like pretty much the unofficial mascot of Epcot. There's Figment merchandise everywhere, and for his ride to not be up to snuff as a dark ride, to me is a tragedy. So I would say Imagination with Dreamfinder is my only $5 ride. I have two in the $4 tier. The first is Alien Encounter, because Disney's never done the story of Alien Encounter is insane. It was supposed to be like a Ridley Scott alien thing, which would have been equally cool. But the Imagineers told Eisner, classic Eisner, that this was like not a good idea for the parks and that people would be terrified. So they went ahead and made something that was likely more scary.
I know, literally. That's so funny.
With this crazy flying alien. It's where Stitch's Great Escape replaced it, and now Stitch's is closed because that was just a pretty well-known disaster. Yeah. But Alien Encounter is one of my $4.
And they made it with George Lucas, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, extraterrestrial. Wasn't that the thing? Encounter. Was that they couldn't get like the licensing for Alien or something? Like
I
they
think
couldn't
it was
get
that,
Ridley
and then
to work with them.
Imagineering or somebody was like, "This is not the best idea."
Yeah, and then they're like,
they did end up working with Ridley Scott
for the Great Movie Ride.
Yeah, Alien has like a little section in the Great Movie,
and that's how it carried over, and it ended up there. But yeah, Alien Encounter was like a crazy circle theater.
So
it's basically like special effects show that was terrifying, and kids would scream, and they would.
But with a big
you in, so you couldn't leave.
Yeah, over the head shoulder restraints
for no reason, and a cool pre-show. There's like 2 cool animatronics in the pre-show, from what I remember.
Yeah, they would like teleport them.
Yeah.
It looked just really cool.
Yeah, they've built up like a proper world. I mean, just think of all the creativity and originality that went into that. Is like nuts.
I mean, and being in Magic Kingdom, like I understand why it didn't last very long, because Magic Kingdom is not typically associated with like horrific imagery.
Right. Also, apparently, a bunch of parents like it became like a well-known thing, like kind of like a Disney World hack. This is according to Defunctland.
Shout out to Kevin Perger.
That you could, seriously, you could like bring your kid into guest relations or whatever and say, this terrified my son, and they would like pay for their ticket or whatever.
No kidding.
So people could essentially like get free tickets for the longest time. It was like on forums, like on like,
I was gonna say, people definitely abuse
that. Absolutely. I think that was like one of the biggest nail in the coffin, was that, because what do you do about that? Just say sorry. I'm sure they put signs out that said this is scary, but then parents are like, why are you building things at Magic Kingdom that's scary for the kids? And,
if it was in Universal Studios, it'd probably still be there, because it was, from what I could see like in YouTube videos, like it looked pretty cool.
Looks awesome.
Awesome, yeah. But in Magic Kingdom, especially, it's just a bizarre place.
I know, right? Also, even just beyond it being a horror, and we got really caught up on this right in the middle of your ranking.
Fine.
But even taking away that they built a horror attraction, which doesn't make any sense. Obviously, the only place you can put it is Tomorrowland, but just the take on like the future of like a dystopian future instead of like a bright, beautiful look.
Tomorrowland's like an idealistic future.
I know, that's such a funny. I mean, clearly it didn't work. It was only there for however long, and then it got moved around. And clearly, we all loved the idea of it. Would have loved to see it, but like, just what weird lapse in judgment to go ahead and build the whole thing, knowing full well it wasn't going to work.
Yeah,
you know,
it's interesting.
Like, it's so weird.
It's very interesting. But yes, Alien Encounter. So far, $5. You have $15 to spend. $5 Imagination with the Dreamfinder. $4 for Alien Encounter. I'm at $9. My next $4 is 20,000 Leagues.
That's one I would love to get on my list.
Yeah, I think that the submarines, just the idea of a submarine attraction is so cool. And all the video I've seen of 20,000 Leagues looks amazing. And I had finally watched 20,000 Leagues because I took a class over the winter intersession. We call it interterm at Chapman, but I know there's a bunch of different terms for it. But the period of time between winter and spring semester where you don't do anything, you can take a class. And I took a class on the history of the Walt Disney Company, which was awesome. Super cool. I learned a lot of cool stuff. But we talked about, we watched 20,000 Leagues because it was one of their first live action films. And it's great. It's so good. It's really long, but like every old movie is kind of long and boring. You just got to like deal with those parts.
That's so true, bro.
Yeah, like they're great, but there's also parts where like, oh, this is old.
Dude, if my film teachers just said that once, they just conceded it's really long and boring, but I promise you it's worth it, I would have been so much more into it.
Yeah,
all you do is put that on the front end.
Yeah, you're glad you watched it at the end of it, but you're like, yeah, but that middle chunk, I was
right.
I've learned
it's just a lot of dialogue, right?
I've learned a couple things from film school is that with old movies, every scene is a little too long and every shot is a little bit longer than it needs to be.
That's so true.
They're just old movies are slow and that's how they are. And also with film school, if you're a person thinking about film school, just know this. Everyone goes into film school thinking they want to be a director, and about 10% of people come out of film school.
Once you see what actual directing is like, you're like, oh.
Yeah.
That's a lot of response. Like, because Lain and I would direct stuff together in high school, and like it was just us two with some buddies, so it was fine. Like we would just tell our friends what to do, or we had an idea, and it was a close group of guys that could figure it out. When you're on like a set of like hundreds of people, but in film school it's like 15, 20 people. Yeah. Even then it's difficult. Imagine like being the director on the set of a Marvel movie with like 300 people on set.
Right.
You have like famous actors who are probably not problematic, but are going to have their wishes and stuff. And you have to please everyone while also making a good product. That sounds horrifying.
It does. It does.
But yes, 20,000 Leagues looked awesome. Submarine Voyage in Disneyland with Finding Nemo. It's a novelty that the submarines are still there, and I do ride it every so often because it's such a cool idea, and it was like a Walt's original idea. It was the submarine.
Yeah.
Okay, I fucking hate that ride.
It's fine. There are some moments I think are cool. I think the underwater animatronics are neat, like the Darla and then the divers.
It's cooler to look at than to be
It's pretty. It's pretty. It's too long, and there's parts of it where you're like, okay, but there are chunks that I like. But yeah, 20,000 Leagues, my other $4. So now I am at $13, and I have two $1 attractions. So my first one is Food Rocks.
Wow.
Because I love
food,
cheesy like shows. I love them. Muppet Vision is my favorite thing in Hollywood studios. I just love cheesy shows. I love the Muppets too, but yeah, Food Rocks looked really fun.
Wait, you said that's your favorite thing in Hollywood studios?
It's not the best thing in Hollywood studios,
but it's
my
your favorite thing.
Yeah, I love the Muppets, man.
I can't give you too much back on that. I liked it a hell of a lot more than I thought I was going to like it. I'll tell you that.
We were talking about I rewatched our Park Hopper episode because I re-listened to because I was bored and missing Walt Disney World. And I remember, Jake, you said that it's one of those things that is wonderfully dated. But like it's so dated that it's adorable and endearing, and that's just 100% accurate. Like, yeah, it's very 90s. It's very cheesy and silly, and there's tons of dumb like Muppet gags, but that's the whole point.
I just liked how there was some. Well, first of all, when the the live action person
Sweetums.
came out. Dude, that was so trippy to me, honestly. Like, we were first of all, you're wearing 3D glasses.
There's animatronics like all on the
balconies. There's so many animatronics. So obviously the gag doesn't work exactly where you're like, I can't tell what's the screen and what's the animatronics. Like, obviously it doesn't work to a T, but like it caught me off guard. I didn't expect to see any animatronics. And then there's just an actual character running around. I was like so confused on what we were on.
And then there's like cannons firing and shit.
I know, literally. It's like
they just really go for broke with it.
I can't believe that they got rid of that at DCA. What?
Yeah,
they got rid of it for movie previews.
For nothing.
Time, they were showing movie previews, and then now it's PhilharMagic, which is fine. Like, I like PhilharMagic.
Step up from movie previews.
Oh, sure. But I still wish it was Muppets.
I know, me too.
And Muppet Vision, it was supposed to be like a movie theater. Like, the Muppets were debuting like this new, like, it made sense in DC, especially in the Hollywood backlot.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it makes sense in Hollywood Studios.
Yeah.
Interesting that they, I don't know, I think it was just such low, like no one was going into it.
Yeah. We would, but I can't
say. You also got to
say.
think if you're like a Disneyland regular, like if you're an AP, like how often are you going to see Muppet Vision? You know, the majority of the Disneyland crowd is regulars.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can't say that I like Muppet Vision more than Tower of Terror in Disney World.
That's what I was gonna say.
But I still love Muppet Vision. You know, I don't want to see it go away.
No, and it's something in Hollywood Studios that has no line. I'd say it's something you should do if you're going to Hollywood Studios. Like,
absolutely. It's on my list of things to do.
Yeah. But yes. So how we got distracted? Food rocks. Food rocks on my
Food
list.
rocks.
Yes. And then my final one, just for like the memes, and because I just still can't wrap my head around how this happened. It's Cranium Command. How on earth animatronic?
I know.
They also, I think, caught the guy. I think he's in prison, or he's like getting a hearing for prison. I don't know how law works. Even though my dad's a police officer, I still don't understand how law works.
There was that crazy video of him being interrogated in the cops or whatever.
Put pictures of it on the internet. And he was like, "Oh, I got Buzzy," and it's like, "Dude, it's Disney.
and
he was
the
CIA. They're gonna find you."
He was wearing like wigs from the animatronics on the Haunted Mansion.
First of all, he looked like a crazy person.
He did.
He looked like a crazy person.
I don't think he's in jail yet, though. I mean, he will be, or
he's probably being detained, or he's on bail, or something.
Yeah, whatever.
But I mean, dude, it's Disney. Like, you're messing with like one of the top 10, top.
And
5,
by the way, he was
biggest
stealing these
in the world.
things. He was stealing property from the biggest company in the world. I'm pretty sure while still being a cast member, while still being employed. Which is nuts. Just to show up the next day and be like, I wonder where that thing went, and it's just in the trunk of your car.
Well,
that's crazy.
You gotta think, I mean, the minute it came out that it got stolen, the only option was it had to be a cast member, because no one could have broke it in back there without getting caught.
Yeah,
it had to be a cast member.
I'm gonna just say it. That make a great movie.
It probably will be. Actually, it'll never be a movie. Disney would never allow that to get made.
If they do subsequent seasons of the Imagineering story, I bet you they'd talk about it.
They would talk about it. But like a fictionalized movie about it, there's no chance.
Well, no, you just be like, you could be like inspired by, it's like, it'd be like another.
You could do like a movie that's not directly referencing it, but that's what it's about.
It'd be like, it's definitely like inspired by
it'd be pretty interesting.
I mean, Law and Order did that in like the 90s forever. They would take a real crime case and just change names. It was genius, dude. They would just look at like police reports, like, okay, that's an episode. And
I know,
that's
right?
an episode. Like, what a brilliant show idea.
Yeah.
But yes, so counting back, $5 Imagination of a Dream Finder, $4 Alien Encounter, $4 20,000 Leagues, $1 Food Rocks, and $1 Cranium Command. I have a 5 attraction land that makes no cohesive sense, but those are the ones I would do.
The last thing
Boom.
I'll say about your list is one of my biggest regrets of my trip to Disneyland Paris is that I missed the 20,000 Leagues walkthrough. I saw the thing,
to see it.
and I remember I was like, okay, that's the thing I'll do later in between my fast passes or whatever, and I just never got back to it. And I remember sitting on the train, like about to go back to the hotel or whatever, and I was like, fuck, I missed it. It was like, oh my God. It was like the first thing I saw in the morning because we went straight to Space Mountain.
Right.
And then I made the mental note to come back and just never did. Such a bummer.
Dude, Space Mountain Mission 2 looks so cool.
Yeah, yes, but
I love
the Star Wars
steampunk
overlay
aesthetic,
is
too.
wacko silly. I will say
Wacko
that.
silly.
But when we got off of it, I turned to the people I was with and I said that was the. I mean, it's crazy. It's not even worth saying. But I said that was the best Disney ride I've ever been on because it was so original and thrilling, and just the fact that it was like in French just kind of makes it feel like otherworldly. But looking back,
I can't imagine what that's like in person, riding a Disney ride in a different language.
It's very weird.
It's probably
and especially because it was Star Wars, so it was like in French, and then it would say Jakku, like out of nowhere, you know. So that was funky. But
that sounds like a great time.
Got it. Well, first of all, it's just a great roller coaster. And then when you know the theming that went into it originally, it's
Discovery
so
Island
awesome.
or Discovery Bay just looks like such a cool land.
Yeah, for real.
Dude, Tony Baxter,
anyways, Lain,
the man.
Tony Baxter. There's an incredible YouTube video that I remember finding a while ago, and it only had like 2,000 views. I don't know how it only has that many views, but it's literally just called like Tony Baxter walkthrough tour of Disneyland Paris. And it's like a 42-minute video of literally just him and like 4 people, and this one lady's just filming him the whole time. And he's just walking around and explains like the things from like story of how he came up with the idea of this ride to like, we put this little decal on the bench because of this. And it's just like literally him wandering around and talking about what went into designing it. So awesome. Just no cuts. The audio is weird, you know, like was just a lady filming her tour, but it was awesome.
That sounds sweet.
I should go find that. Yeah, it's awesome.
All right.
Cool. All right. Before we get to the rest of our rankings, we're going to take a quick break, but we'll be right back with the rest of the little game that we're playing. Thank you. And we're back. Thank you for rejoining us. We're playing our park ranking game for what type or which WDW attractions we would like to see return in a fictional theoretical WDW, I guess. WDW. I cannot speak today, guys.
That's all right.
WD.
That's going to be the title of this episode. Lain can't talk. Fictional theorized WDW theme park of our own. So
of extinct attractions.
Yeah, of extinct attractions, sort of a defunct land type thing. And so the cap is $15. We went over the various attractions before the break and rank $5 to $1. Mine, I'm going to start off with highest to lowest. So I only have one $5 attraction. That's going to go to the Great Movie Ride.
I was very torn about that one.
Yeah, it's mainly because I never got to ride it.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw a ride through video when I was young, and I thought that it was like the coolest thing ever. And I wish that I could have gotten the chance to go on it before it closed, but you know, things happen. So that's definitely at the top of my list. But yeah, I don't know if there's
me too.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Dude, me too.
It was the first ride I ever. So I was on YouTube when I was probably like 13, watching Disneyland videos because I've always been in love with the parks. If you're a Disney fan, there's like the moment where it clicks when you're on vacation with your family. Where you're like, oh, this is the coolest place ever.
Yeah.
But I was watching the Disneyland videos because I missed Disneyland, and we didn't go. We will go every couple of years. I didn't start going often until a year or two before college, and then I obviously came to college in Orange County. But I was watching Disneyland videos, and I saw like Disney's Great Movie Ride, and I was like, what the is this? And I watched it, and I was like, this is amazing. Where is it? And it said Disney's Hollywood Studios. So I didn't know anything about Florida at this point. thought that was in Hollywood. And I was like, what? Disneyland got another park in Hollywood that I didn't know about? And then I looked into it, I'm like, oh, it's in Florida. And then that was kind of my like gateway into learning and being obsessed with Walt Disney World. Yeah. So there's always, I never wrote it. I don't even like, but I know a lot about it, and it'll always have a soft spot for me because it was like my like little sprinkle of Florida.
Yeah.
Because like I'd always like known Florida existed, but I was so Disneyland. That was the first time I realized like one, I could physically go to Florida.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not impossible to go to. It's a valid option.
Speaking on that, I will say we all very recently and publicly in regards to our podcast have popped our Disney World virginity, for better or for worse.
Jesus.
Well, because the thing is
a terrible phrase.
Here's the thing. If you talked to me a year or two ago, I'd be like, yeah, fuck, Pandora looks awesome, but when am I going to go there? I'm never going to go there. Or, yeah, sure, their Tower of Terror looks awesome, but like I have no plans to go to Disney World. But now that we have been, and I know that it's attainable when we're not in a pandemic, the thing is like, I already want to go back, but like for specific things, like when the new Guardians of the Galaxy roller coaster opens, like it'd be awesome to go, like just for the, whatever, like because we've been there before, it feels like an option. So if my reality existed back in the day, I would have probably pushed to go the same weekends. Great Movie Ride and Ellen's Energy Adventure closed like on the same day. That must have been a really cool weekend to be there, to be able to go on those two rides that I went on actually in like middle school. I don't remember them that much, obviously.
Ellen's Energy Adventure was like 45 minutes long.
Dude, so cool.
I would love it.
That's probably a weekend that I would have pushed to go to if going to Disney World was like a normal thing.
A Jake Moody text recently was, I like Ellen DeGeneres. She seems cool.
Oh, dude, I just really like Ellen.
So him missing Ellen Energy Adventure is not a twist.
Yeah, she just seems like I just watched her on the Jerry Seinfeld Comedians in Cars Giving Coffees. And
she seems like a nice lady. I know there's some controversy with like her staff, but like
I've heard that. That's what Yeah, I've heard that a hell of a lot about that.
What do the three of us know anything about running a business? Like, maybe she's doing shady stuff, but guess what, people? Corporations and businesses, they do shady stuff.
Her public persona just seems very sweet and
everyone who like knows her says she's really nice. Mm-hmm. I'm sure she's a great lady. Also, like, we don't want to talk about the contrary, but like people actually running her business are probably not even her. Like people making those decisions for staffing and stuff. Like I'm sure Ellen is at a place in her life where she has hired someone to do that.
Right. But I am happy that we went from the Great Movie Ride. Ellen, how
it's
Ellen
topical
treats
thing.
her.
I see it.
Oh my God. Anyway.
I like Ellen.
So yeah, Great Movie Ride. That's $5. And then, so that's my only $5 ride. My only $4 ride is 20,000 Leagues.
Dude, there it is.
Yeah. So I agree with you, Spencer. I have never been on it, obviously. I wish I could have gone on it. That's pretty much it. We don't have to go.
There's some high quality like YouTube ride throughs.
There's
some from like the 60s in Disneyland, which is wild that
exists. There's some high quality ones. Defunctland has a very good early episode. I think it's from season 1 of Defunctland on YouTube about it. There's like a lot of really interesting history about it. Like I know in that episode of Defunctland, he talks about how like they had cast members dressed as mermaids that would like sit on
the rocks.
But they had to stop doing that because of like the gasoline.
I think that's where the seagulls are now. If I know.
Yeah.
And then they had divers like go down every day.
Have you seen One Day at Disney? They have a dude who that's his job.
Wow.
He's like the diving cleaner guy of Submarine Voyage and of Jungle Cruise. That dude's job is sick.
Yeah.
Damn, he does it for both. It's only one guy
for like all the water rides. Well, it's like him. He's like the main one. I think there's like 2 other people with.
Does he do it like in the middle of the night?
But yeah, his shift starts like 11 o'clock, and he like just dives in.
He's just nocturnal.
Well, he was I guess he was like a mechanic in the Navy or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
And he just he like loved diving. He had his diving license. And when he heard that Disney was like hiring her, he was like, okay, yeah. I mean, what cooler job to tell your friends, what do you do? Oh, I'm a scuba diver at Disneyland.
I know.
I get to dive into the Jungle Cruise. Like, excuse me?
Yeah.
That's cool. That's honestly probably got to be really creepy. In the middle of the night, all these animatronics.
I think he's got it. If I was alone, I just physically wouldn't do it.
Right. Well, I actually probably would, because that's crazy.
Yeah, I'm sure there's
to me are the weirdest double-edged sword, because I think they're the coolest thing in the world, but they're also horrific.
Yeah, it's true.
I'm sure there's like tons of lights and shit in there that.
I mean, they got to have like safety lights or something. There's ride-throughs of rides with lights on. Like,
it's not like he's there with a bunch of like animatronics in the dark.
What if they're still
like the actual
down
jungle
there with the fake with the hippos?
He walks in with a machete.
With the fake cap gun.
I saw the scariest video on Twitter today of hippos killing a gazelle. Hippos are insane.
Yeah, they're crazy.
But they're not even, they're vegetarians, man. They just wreck this gazelle for no reason because they're mean. They're like one of the most dangerous animals in the world.
Watering hole or something.
It's wild. Hippos are scary. Hippos are scary.
All right. Well, that's 20,000 leagues. What's wrong with us?
So that was 4?
History.
Yeah, so that's my only $4 ride. I didn't have any $3 rides. Were there any $3 rides on there?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I didn't have any $3 rides. And then I had 3 $2 rides.
Ooh, I'm ready for this.
So first of all, your math is right.
My math is exactly $15.
Yeah, you're right.
Jake, you're about to graduate from college.
I know.
Hey, not for math though.
Yeah, that's true.
This is what film school gets you, kids.
Yeah. So my first one is Skyway.
Nice.
Yeah, because never been on the Skyway. So yeah, that's that. I don't.
My tidbit on the Skyway, if you were leaving the door open, is I feel like Disneyland's was way cooler than Disney World.
You went through the Matterhorn and saw the Yeti.
That's awesome. Also, I went to the that's from Disneyland's exhibit or option.
Oh yes,
I hate you. I wanted to go to that so bad.
Yeah, that was crazy.
So cool.
But yeah, I sat in one of those. A sky
really.
Bucket. Yeah, wow. And I sat in a people mover, but that's not as cool because we went on the people mover.
Okay, super correct me if I'm wrong, but did someone fall from it in Disneyland and die? Is that
They didn't die, but I think someone did fall.
Purposefully jumped though.
Okay.
But not to kill themselves. At least I don't think they purposely jumped into a tree by a really big tree that's probably still there by Alice in Wonderland.
Jesus.
Why did they do that?
I don't know. I don't know. Probably a teenager.
Man. I don't know.
You know?
That's pretty wild.
People are wild.
But that was the beginning of the end.
Well, I mean, if you physically, you can kind of ride the Skyliner now. It's pretty close to what the Skyway
is. It's an homage to it, I'm sure.
Especially what Preston was talking about last week with the views of the parks. That sounds awesome. I would just take it all the way around Disney World.
Yeah.
I know, right? Yeah, it's so cool.
Yeah.
Spend a day just up there, max chilling.
Max chilling, yeah. So I would love to have the Skyway back. And I know that there's always been people who want the Skyway back, at least at Disneyland.
Yeah.
They sell Skyway shirts and merchandise.
Yeah, they sell Skyway shirts. They still have the build. Or wait, no, they. I don't think they have the building there, but they have they still have the gate leading to where it was.
Mm-hmm.
One of the stations. So people argue that they could still put it back, but that's an argument for another time, I suppose. One of my other $2 attractions was Captain EO.
That's
really?
Yeah.
I disagree. I thought about it, but you can always just watch it on YouTube, and they've brought it back a couple times.
They can, and they bring it back every once in a while. I definitely wouldn't want it forever, but I've never gotten to see it in a theater. Just because I think I've only been there once once when it's actually been in the theater at Disneyland, and I just didn't get the chance to go.
I don't think I've watched.
I never saw it either.
I think I've seen it once on YouTube, I think it would just be cool to see it in like a theater setting with like theming and stuff.
True.
So
Good
that's
bold choice for you now.
I chose that just because I didn't think that you guys would choose it.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. And also I think it's just like, it's so bizarrely 80s. And didn't like George Lucas like direct it or something?
Yeah.
Very
yeah,
cool.
I think he did actually. Or
that was the first of
undid it
the
or
like
something.
however many attractions he signed on to work on.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's very interesting. Obviously they probably wouldn't, there's probably zero chance of them doing it now due to the insane controversy around Michael Jackson and whatnot.
Well, I think it was open like during the
they
time
brought
where,
it
like,
back for
those were like active.
they brought it back
regulations.
on like either like the anniversary of his death or
His
like what
birthday
would
or
have been
something.
like his like whatever 50th or 60th birthday or something.
Right. But now that it's like that all of
that
Yeah, well,
documentary
there's, like,
that came out.
the HBO documentary and like all of those all that like evidence and allegations and all of that shit is like way out in the open. Like
Disney tends to
Sure.
avoid controversy.
exactly. I feel like all of that everything that's out there now, I feel like there's like zero chance that would ever happen. But
Probably.
as you said, you can still check it out on YouTube. It's a very cool short film. I didn't have any $1 ones. My last $2 attraction is Maelstrom.
Ooh.
Just because
You know, the YouTube videos of it, it looks awesome.
It
But
looks so
I
cool.
also love Frozen Ever After.
Hey, Frozen's cool. I like Frozen Ever After. I always really wanted to ride Maelstrom.
Yeah,
For sure.
my
If
thing
we could have
with
them
it-
both, I would like to have them both.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Spoiler alert, Maelstrom's on mine too, so we can just talk about it.
Oh,
now.
sick.
But yeah, the thing with it is I went into Disney World, I went into Epcot, I went into the Norway Pavilion fully with the mindset of Maelstrom looks and sounds and everything I know about it is awesome. I'm gonna dislike Frozen no matter what, just because I know what used to be there and I like it. And Frozen is so good that I can't
So good.
say that. It's literally so good that that I'm not even upset that Maelstrom's gone, unfortunately. But
It's
that
one of those
doesn't change
things
the
where
fact-
like people were upset that Maelstrom left, and then when Frozen opened, they were like, "Oh, come on! Like, why'd you have to make it good? Now I can't be
Honestly,
angry anymore."
Yeah.
like, and then I mean, this is wacko, but like, and then after we had our trip to Disney World, and then I would go back to Disneyland, and I would look at the Hondo animatronic. I'd be like, bro, I like Olaf more than Hondo. Like the freaking Frozen Ever After had so many cute moments. And even when we were on it, like the second or third time or whatever it was, by the way, Life Hack Attack, this is supposedly like one of the higher tier rides in their fast pass system. And we were like jumping on it because
Dude, we rode it like at least 3
I
times.
know, it was crazy. But,
I wanted to do it again. I thought it was awesome.
But we were on it one time in like the big like showstopper scene with
And
Elsa.
we
So,
stuck.
I don't know whatever it got stuck. So we didn't like get evac or anything.
I think there
We
was
just, like, kinda
probably
sat there for 2 minutes,
it might have been
like a handicap.
yeah,
loading
something like
in.
that.
Yeah, and like the whole ride paused. But we were just standing there watching Elsa, and it was just like I don't know. It wasn't exactly creepy, but it wasn't exactly.
Well, she was like
good
sitting there like
either. It's
blinking, like she was alive, just like
somewhere in the middle. Like they clearly programmed her to do this. But
like,
Yeah, it was very
they're just like kind of swaying.
it was
I don't
kind
know,
of
but
like
I just
weird because like her
It
head
wasn't
is
like
in the
she
same
just
place,
did
but
the
she's
same
moving.
animation. Like it was like there was like a standby where she was just
right.
She was just kind of
Well,
bobbing back and forth. It was kind of like, have you ever seen Christmas Carol with Jim Carrey?
No, actually, I
okay.
haven't.
that movie is
Well-
always on Freeform's 25 Days of Christmas, and it always creeps me out, and I turn it off.
Like the Ghost of Christmas Past in it, like he's like a candle, like he's literally a flame, and
Right.
he like does this thing where he kind of
Lumiere.
like bobs about. Yeah, he's like kind of like Lumiere, and he literally like bobs around, like very weird, but his head is always in the same place, and that's like
funny.
that's what I kind of thought of when I saw Elsa doing that thing where she was
Wow.
like moving back and forth.
The
Very weird reference to make on this podcast. But,
yeah, that is a crazy reference.
It was a Disney.
Today is the day of weird references.
That was a Disney Christmas Carol. So there you go.
Right.
Yeah.
The thing about those animatronics, and I guess like one of the reasons why it caught me off guard, but like I was very pleasantly surprised, is because if you were just to think about it or ask me prior, I would have said I expect the animatronic to be pretty similar to what we see on The Little Mermaid, because I don't know, like big life-size animatronics on clearly cartoon characters. And I don't know what I guess they have like the face projection.
The Frozen ride was one of the first to implement the mapping projection on animatronic faces, and then was Mind Train, which also does it amazingly. It's such great technology.
So cool. Like, I don't know. Like, I remember watching Olaf waddle up to the thing, and it just
he's not projection at all. He's just
know.
Like a full-on
it's
figure.
it just worked way better than I figured it was going to.
Mm-hmm.
So.
No, it's so cool. Even the marshmallow animatronic, when you get to like the cliff and he like lifts himself up and yells at you, it's really good too.
Yeah.
Frozen Ever After slaps. Like Norway is one of my favorite pavilions. I think it's a super underrated pavilion at Epcot.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the desserts we had were pretty tasty. I had
I
bread.
That too.
I don't know what was in it. Epcot,
that was
we
one
went hard. We would just eat random things. But
that was one of the most. I was drinking a lot of random things, but that was one of the moments that hit me for Epcot being the coolest, because there was like a genuine language gap between us and the people who were trying to give us whatever sweets we were buying. Like literally, it was hard to communicate, which is so cool.
Yeah,
that's like
my favorite. Norway, I like pointed to it. I was like, "Oh, I'll try the school bread." She goes, "School bread," and I was like, "This is like Big Summer Blowout in real life."
Yeah, I'm here for that.
You remember the French lady when we were buying like breakfast?
I was just talking
the first day, and she was like, "The view is better up here." And
yeah, so sick. And I remember she enticed me to get I was not planning on getting a mimosa, but then she was like, "What was our thing?" And I said, "Okay."
What was our friend? What was our
pavilion are insane. They were like running on our legs for our food and stuff.
What was our waiter's name
in France?
Yeah,
dude, Richard. I could never
Richard.
Richard.
That
was ridiculous. I will never forget Richard.
Richard, dude.
And Frankie and Be Our Guest.
Frankie.
More butter, more fun.
More butter, more fun.
This time last year, we were like gearing up for this trip.
Yeah.
It was getting close.
We were like probably getting we weren't exactly like planning out our days yet.
We had our we had our fast pass in like March. We had everything planned out. We were making dinner reservations. I had so much fun planning that trip. I had a blast.
Yeah, I missed it.
As like that for me, that was like a sign that as like a backup career, I would definitely be a travel agent. Like I enjoy planning things. Like, yeah, obviously that would not be best case scenario. I'm a super creative dude, but I enjoy planning trips.
Yeah.
So
all right,
maybe
Jake,
someday.
Give us your rankings, bro.
Anyways, okay. All right, so I had two $5, which is different because you guys only had the one. But I will say one of them was Great Movie Ride, and we talked about it a decent amount with Lain. So we can gloss over that, other than the only other thing that I did want to say about it, and to Ellen, which is not on my list, is those ride vehicles are so cool. It's like a movable, like essentially section of like a movie theater audience. That was trackless, by the way. We forget. I mean, clearly those ride vehicles are long form and like, I don't know, meant to be like a very big and grand experience where like trackless vehicles.
Ellen like a carousel of progress kind of thing? Or was it an actual vehicle?
It was an actual vehicle.
Oh wow.
But it was so big, probably like I would guess 15 or 20 people per row. Really long and really wide. And you
had to house tons of people because it was 45 minutes long.
It starts in a movie theater. There's a pre-show, and that is like Circle-Rama. There was like Bill Nye's talking to you and Ellen talking to you and all these things. And then they usher you into a movie theater, right? And then the screen is on, and then Ellen or whatever is talking to you about the dinosaurs. And then the screen opens like this, and then the movie theater seat you're in go forward.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's a trackless dark ride.
I know that there was like animatronic dinosaurs, and Ellen was like getting them away with a branch.
Yeah. So that's really cool. I will bet you if we went on that on my last trip, I probably would have fallen asleep because it was just cold and long. But
yeah. Florida's interesting because it's so hot outside, but if you're in a building for too long, it's just so cold.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then it feels nice to get outside, and then after like 10 minutes, you're like, well, I wish I was
I agree. You're talking so much about ride vehicles. After we finish rankings, I want to hear your guys' favorite ride vehicles, favorite Disney ride vehicles. So have that in the back of your mind.
Yeah, I'll be thinking about it. But okay, so
we're
that was the only
fun
thing
today.
Yeah,
I know.
I could think about with the Great Movie Ride and with Ellen. Just the ride vehicles are really cool, and it's a shame that those are gone because I think that's a really cool way to tell a story in like theme park medium. And now, as far as I mean, they're not in any Disney parks. I'm sure there are in other parts of the world. But the other one, my other $5 one, which I can't believe you guys skipped over, I have always wanted to go on it, was Horizons. That just sounds
I just don't
so
know enough
cool
about it. I've never really seen a video.
I don't know much about it.
I know
either.
it's amazing and like an Epcot favorite.
Yeah, it's just a it was basically the last scene of Spaceship Earth, which is like, this is what the future is going to look like, and we're all in it together, and then the ride's over. But it's that for the whole ride, and it's
wow.
Yeah, it's just a track, or it's just an old school dark ride with a ton of animatronics, a ton of visual gags, and it was just doing the future Epcot style, and that is so cool and awesome. And it has like a cult following of people who like swear by it being the coolest thing ever. There's this awesome YouTube video that's like 20 minutes long, 30 minutes long, and it was basically whenever the ride closed, let's say the early 2000s, maybe even late night. Nah, I'd say early 2000s. They it's a weird video because they framed it like it was kind of like a short film thing, but it was these group of guys that are like, this is our favorite ride of all time. We're going to ride it as many times as we can before it closes. And then they start to get friendly with the cast members. And then they start to realize that there's places where they can very easily jump off of the ride vehicle and like wander around the ride. And it was kind of like an unwritten secret that like these guys would literally just wander around the ride and like be hiding from other guests and things. And they had this whole scheme around it. And it's a really cool video. I mean, it could never happen anymore, but it was just so neglected by the end of its lifetime that there were no guests on it. The cast members apparently were just cool. These kids wandering around in the scenes, and it's a really cool video. So if I find it, I'll send it to you guys. But anyways, those two Horizons, I would love to have gone on. Those are my two $5 ones. And then I have a $3 one, which is something I found out about relatively recently and thought it sounded awesome. Another Epcot joint. It's the World of Motion, which is what was there before Test Track.
That looked awesome.
Yeah, it just sounds really cool. It's is it not Ward Kimball? It was the guy who's famous for all the for Pirates of the Caribbean. Whoever drew all that stuff. Yeah, and then he also did the Thunder Mesa ride or whatever was that big thing. But it's just I mean, it's another version of Horizons. It's just a long, dark ride with a ton of gags. This one was just about the history of travel. And it was it went from like seeing cavemen wandering around and like wheeling around wheels all the way up to like sports cars. But it was a cute dark ride telling a story, which I always prefer those. Test Track is cool and it's thrilling, and Test Track 2.0 that we went on is a ton of fun, but I would have loved to see World of Motion. It was also a thing that Walt Disney worked on from the New York's World Fair. So I'm here for that. And then the last one is my $2 Maelstrom, which we just talked about.
Nice.
So that's that.
Sick.
Yeah, Horizons and World of Motion, man. I mean, Epcot has a really special place for me.
Yeah.
I loved Animal Kingdom. That was definitely like the most awestruck.
I mean, they're the top two for sure.
Right. But I don't know, man. Just the more I thought about Epcot after the trip, just like the more it stuck with me for being like, this place is so cool. And that's obviously why people are so anxious about the all the updates coming to it, because it's like the park, the way that it was a shell of itself. It just was. So
it's
where
just
do you
very
move
much
from?
in like a transitional phase.
Do you lean into the old school stuff that made people fall in love with it, or do you try to give it a new identity? They're trying to do like this thing where it's in the middle, which is interesting.
Well, it's like if you go completely back to the old stuff, yes, like the diehard Disney fans are super excited and we'd be ecstatic about it. But that doesn't bring in like new business, man. If it's,
Right,
if it's very 80s, I think Epcot's interesting. It's very much in like a little bit of like a middle phase, and it seems like they're moving more towards a new idea, a new park.
Yeah.
Which
what
is
I
cool
forgot
too. Things change.
Of course. What I forgot to bring up last week, and we should have with Preston more on the line, but the most clear thing for them to have done with the announcing all the new things that are coming to Epcot, and it's going to be a big overhaul and everything, is what we talked about today, the Imagination Ride and the Imagination Pavilion. It's such a clear thing to either go, okay, the direction we're going is with the IPs, so this is going to be an inside-out thing, or throw a bone to the old school people like us, which, by the way, are a lot of people. And it's we're going to give you guys a whole brand new awesome Figment ride. So yeah, we're going to be kind of shoehorning in Ratatouille and Frozen and all these things, but look, you're getting Figment back. Figment is like the thing. And even though I'm not that into it because I have no connection with the old stuff and I didn't care for the new ride, that would have still been, I mean, just an original ride would have been so awesome. And that seems like a no-brainer. Either one of the two options I figured had to have been in the pipeline, and neither of them were announced. But they announced a walk through Moana ride, which nobody saw coming. This is so
yeah, that's an
weird,
interesting one.
Yeah.
I mean, I think when you're talking about, I don't necessarily think Ratatouille or Frozen are shoehorned in there. I think Frozen is different because it took over Maelstrom, but I remember last week, Preston's point about Ratatouille is really good, where it's just behind where France is. Like, nothing in France is fundamentally changing. Kind of how, like, with Mary Poppins, the proposed idea was nothing was really fundamentally changing with UK. They were just adding this to the back of it. So that, to me, is, I mean, we've talked about this to death, but that, to me, is the direction that Epcot should go.
Right.
Is, keep what's special about Epcot, preserve the identity of Epcot, but add these Disney things to them. Don't because with Florida, you have so much space. Like, you don't necessarily need to replace anything. Like, yes, you do, because things get old and stuff, but Florida has so much room that you can just keep expanding versus keep. It's not like California where a new thing comes, something has to go away.
Yeah,
right.
It's just kind of how it is.
Is it the Germany pavilion where there was supposed to be a ride and then they turned it into
the Rhine River Cruise.
Yeah, they should
you can still see where it was. There's like a big like attraction mural on the back of this.
I know, it's so clear,
which looks like a dark ride mural. Like, because you know what I realized like many months ago, I never made this connection in my brain. I don't know how or not, but every dark ride, that mural is literally the map of the ride that's showing you exactly what you're about to do.
Exactly.
And I never clicked for me. Like,
that's
Pinocchio,
something.
It's like, Geppetto, Stromboli, Monstro the Whale, watch out. I'm like, oh my God, this is the layout of the ride. This is probably the concept art that they just put on the wall.
Yeah,
literally.
That's like, I mean, that's like the one ride or the one thing where I would be fine with that getting switched out. I'm fine with having one less restaurant in Epcot. If we get a Germany ride, that would be cool. And there's like a lot of Disney IPs that take place in that. In
Snow
like
White's
Germany, exactly. And that people are saying like, give us the OP Snow White according to that list apparently. So do what you will.
It's interesting. They have Mine Train. I don't think they're going to double down on another Snow White attraction.
True.
Yeah. But I feel like they could come up with something. I would like to see that.
Oh, you know what's German? Rapunzel is a German story.
Yes.
They could build a Tangled thing for sure.
Throw some Tangled. That would be really
cool.
Dude,
the fact that there is not a Tangled attraction is mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Like, I know it didn't make the amount of money as Frozen, but huge.
Right.
Rapunzel and Flynn Rider, like, every time I walk past them in the park, like, their line is humongous. People love Tangled.
Yeah. They really.
It's also a great movie.
Okay. That's what we're saying. Disney put a Tangled ride in the Germany pavilion.
Boom.
Yeah.
Done.
There you go.
Easy
All
money.
Right. I want to hear
some concept art.
Yeah, I want to hear your guys' favorite ride vehicles. Favorite Disney ride vehicles.
Well, I don't know if this is my favorite by far, but I just will say
favorite that you've been on. We'll say.
Well, I just liked actually what we were talking about right before the show started, how Disney's been posting like POVs of their ride, like it's like a special thing, even though they've been on YouTube for like forever. But they've been posting these things, and I just watched one about Rock and Roller Coaster, which I really didn't care for that much when we were in the parks. But the ride vehicle is just so cool. I just really like the idea of ride vehicles. I guess I love what Rise of the Resistance looks like, because that's like a character in and of itself. The Matterhorn ride vehicle is so cool and old school, and how they themed the whole ride essentially to what they could do, which was we want to make a steel roller coaster, and this is what the thing is going to have to look like. Oh, it kind of looks like a bobsled. We'll move from there. The Space Mountain in Orlando, which is the Matterhorn ride vehicle, but futuristically themed, is so cool and awesome. Talking about like technologically wise, I mean, I would be remiss if I didn't bring up the Flight of Passage thing, because the fact that you can tell that whole story on the stationary freaking motorcycle thing is unreal. Ride vehicles are awesome. And in a different life, if my brain worked a different way and I could comprehend math, I would have loved to try to be some kind of engineering thing and like work in that world, because it's such a cool way to be creative. Yeah. All that kind of stuff.
I'll try to bring up ones that you didn't say. And I'll say Indiana Jones.
The EMV.
Oh yeah, that's a great one.
EMV, which is also Dinosaur in
that was a huge
Orlando
breakthrough when that came
I think
out.
so.
Like, that blew people's minds.
That might be my absolute favorite.
Super smart.
It's just like the theming is so cool. It's like the huge Jeep is sick.
All right. Well, it took the technology of Star Tours, being able to simulate motion in one place, and then built the world around it instead of using a screen.
And you can
it's a moving simulator. It's a brilliant idea.
So cool.
You can feel it drifting and like as if the tires popped.
Have you guys seen
insane.
The videos of it where it's just going like this, but it's like there's like a bunch of bars, and then the vehicle's up here like and it's just moving like this.
Very weird.
So smart.
Also, I really love the boats and Pirates. I know that it's classic, and I just really like them. Obviously, like Shanghai Disneyland took that to a huge next level.
Oh my god!
Oh yeah.
But I really like the Pirates boats. I was also thinking about the Matterhorn bobsleds. They switched them out a while back. Remember when we were kids and they had like the really tight ones where you had to sit between someone's legs?
Well, there wasn't even like seats properly. I think it was just open. It was like a little bench. I remember being straddled between my father's legs. That was
literally.
Especially so those my family's huge, 3 gigantic men just stuffed into a rocket. We're all like 6'4". That was an interesting time.
So those are probably my favorite. I'm trying to think of other ones, but I would probably say Tower of Terror in Orlando is up there because of the way it just rises up and down. But the way Joe Rohde puts it, where it goes up and down and that's it. That's what he says for California. But in Orlando, it does that, and then you just leave the elevator shaft. It's insane. It's mind-boggling.
Definitely.
So I love that.
It's another trackless dark ride type thing.
Yeah, I love that that ride vehicle. Spencer, you?
I mean, number one is the Omni Mover.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, look at my shirt right now. I'm wearing like an old school concept art of Tomorrowland with Goofy driving a rocket. So it's Omni Mover. I'm a classic guy. I love dark rides. Like that's the name of the game for me. You know, I like roller coasters. I like big, thrilling things. But my favorite things to do in Disneyland and Walt Disney World are the dark rides. I love that stuff. That's my bread and butter. That's what made me fall in love with theme parks. So it's the Omni Mover, man. It's simple. It's basically just a little set of gears that makes you go in a circle. It's simple, it's effective,
So cool.
it's highly efficient. It's awesome. And the majority of like the best classic dark rides are Omnimovers. Haunted Mansion. Why can I not think of Spaceship Earth? You know, like
all of them.
The classics they keep moving.
Even the newer ones like Little Mermaid.
Exactly. I mean, the ones in Fantasyland technically aren't Omnimovers, but like they're pretty close. You know?
Right.
I think Peter Pan is a mover. It's almost entirely always moving. They stop you for a very short time in the front, but you get launched pretty fast.
Yeah.
Like even just the classic dark ride vehicle, you know, whether it be an Omnimover or it's a stop and go, but just the simple little car that's designed to whatever aesthetic you're riding into. It's just fun. It's simple, it's easy, and it's the classic.
Yeah, it's cool that you can understand it. You know, like I can see how the leap in like theme park technology from what you were saying, Peter Pan. Yeah, it goes relatively quick, but like there's a reason why that line has a long line always because it, you know, everybody has to load and then unload. There's like a solid 20 seconds where nobody's moving.
And the ships seat like 2 to 3 people.
Right. But then with an Omnimover, it's because the freaking like loading platform moves along with these things, it can never stop, which is what made the People Mover so cool and what made all these things so cool. So like I always find it crazy when I have a relative understanding to how it works and why it was done.
It's like even looking at Soarin', you know, there's that classic story of how that guy built Soarin'. He had like a little set of gears in his house.
In a Erector set.
Kid's play set. Yeah, and he put together Soarin'. When you look at it and he explains what it is, it's just like a ski lift. That's all it is. It's a big ski lift that just goes up and it comes down. Because when you really just critically think about how these things work, it's so fascinating to me how simple some of these are.
Yeah.
Especially like old dark rides. Like they're just go-karts on a track. Like that's all they are. Like the Pinocchio, like little wood carver carts. It's just like basically a go-kart that's just being pulled along by a little conveyor belt around.
Right.
It's so simple, but there's something so charming about that. I don't know. They can't be beat in my mind. Although the trackless stuff is pretty incredible. Like Rise of the Resistance as a ride vehicle, that's amazing.
Well, the thing about Rise is to me, I mean, say what you will about, without giving any spoilers because Lane's here, but the amount of like thrills that you can find in it, or like how new and fluid like this animatronic looks versus like, you know, the older one or whatever it is, but like the blending of different ways to tell a story, from the pre-show to the cast members that are involved to the actual ride in and of itself to the simulator. It's like bringing everything that we've ever learned and then putting it in this one
thing. It's like the ultimate culmination of
crazy.
All of theme park attractions.
Right. To the point where the freaking ride vehicle is a literal character. They put you on it for a reason. And then the ride vehicle. That's cool. Very cool.
Those aren't spoilers, Lain.
We love it.
Yeah.
They're just things that exist.
That's not.
All right.
Well, wait. I would be remiss if I didn't say this one too. It's not Disney, but something that I'm like dying to go on. Actually, you guys being from Northern California, I doubt you've been on it yet. But there's a roller coaster. God, I'm sorry. I mean, I know the technical term for it. It's called an RMC Raptor. I don't know what the actual ride is called, but there's now I'm going on a tangent. There's one exactly the same in Texas called Wonder Woman's something. It's just a single railed roller coaster. So, you know what?
I don't know. The one in Discovery Kingdom?
No, it's in the one that's owned by Cedar Fair in San Jose.
Oh, Great America?
It's in Great America, and it's called like Gold Striker or Gold Digger or something like that.
I know what you're talking
about.
I do know what you're talking about.
It's a new roller coaster, like a year or two old, and it basically is just a single rail. So the ride vehicle wraps around one rail. So typically on a roller coaster, you have either 4 people sitting side by side or just 2 people. But this is like you're kind of straddling the rail, and it's unbelievably fast. It like whips you around, and it's really
sounds terrifying.
It's going to be the future of roller coasters because the ride supports is the ride. So it's really cheap to make in terms of like amounts of steel
like a
you
slot
have to buy.
car.
Yeah, exactly. And it loads like with the conveyor belt like an omni mover. So that's like the future, and I'm so excited to ride it eventually.
Great America is an interesting theme park. It's not great, but there's a lot of history there. I think they
yeah,
have the first
I'm
loop
really
ever.
excited to go. They did.
The Demon. I've been on that. It's hilarious because you're climbing up to like where the loop is.
Right.
And there's so many like safety signs because this is the first time this has been done. And they're like, do not mess with restraint. Head back against the headrest. Like, don't do anything dumb. Please survive. And then you go through the loop
crazy.
And it's just like a single loop.
Right. There's a ride like that at Magic Mountain too. It wasn't the first loop, but I don't know. It's like the first of something for the looping world. And yeah, when you go up that lift hill, that's getting ready for the lift. It's the same. Keep your head, keep this strap. Don't move your arms at all. And it's just like the last ride I went on had 4 in a row, you know? So that's funny. I really love amusement parks, man. I miss them. They're cool. I really miss them.
Yeah. They're one of those things that just, yeah. All right. Picks of the week.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
Lain.
Oh, the week. Oh gee. Can someone else go first?
Is it not Pirates?
Yeah, I guess I'll do Pirates.
I mean, you don't have to, but I thought it was.
Someone's got to do Pirates.
I'll do it.
Right.
I did watch Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End. It was very good. Loved
We're all
it.
just a week apart on this.
So
on this
good.
Pirates track.
Dude, definitely rewatch those movies.
Mm-hmm.
If you have not,
they're just too good.
They're very good. Lots of
the Maelstrom reference in it.
Yeah, there is. There's like so much going on in the plot. Like the plots are very complex.
Yeah, which is why that one is lower on the list for me, honestly.
Oh, okay.
But still fun.
Incorrect.
I liked all the park references.
Yeah.
The best one.
Wow.
So yeah, that's my pick of the week. Jake.
Yeah, I can go quickly because I do want to properly talk about this at one point, and if there is going to continue to be a news shortage, this can be a fun segment later on. But like I said a while ago, I don't know, I started watching the X-Men movies, and actually this morning I finished watching X2, which is supposedly one of the better ones.
People say that's one of the best ones ever made.
Yeah,
like comic book movies.
I really, really liked it. I have a lot to say about the original X-Men movies and about how you can even begin to bring them into the MCU. But I guess the only thing I'll bring up right now is that these movies, for better or for worse, feel like actual movies closer to like a film than it does a comic book or a superhero movie, because the original X-Men and the original Spider-Man like invented the genre. So genuinely they try to like talk about things, and they're like real movies, and they're dark, not because they're trying to be a dark superhero movie, but just because the story is dark.
Yeah.
And I just really like them, and to see them try to bring them into the MCU honestly makes me a little, watching the original X-Men movies makes me way less excited for what the MCU is going to do, basically, because I really don't want a watered down version. I think these are like properly good movies, to the point where I finished watching X2 this morning and I was like, wow, I might like this more than the Spider-Man, like Tobey Maguire movies. Like I really like them. Apparently the third is like supposedly one of the worst, and then they like did the Wolverine spinoff, which wasn't
the
any
next
good.
two are very poor.
Right. So we'll see. But I just really liked X1 and X2 were way better than
the opening of X2 is with Nightcrawler, right?
Yeah. And he's going to
super sick
assassinate the
opening.
president. Yeah. So cool.
The thing about those movies, X-Men from its inception as a comic book was always an allegory for different political movements, whether it be civil rights or or like LGBTQ rights.
Anything.
It's just
it's
always
a really
been
special story and
it's
can
an
be powerful
allegorical
if done.
Story about like a group of outsiders. Right. Just like it can be work for anything. And what's really cool about those early movies is that they weren't bound by a studio. Like the studios kind of saw that they were the first superhero movies since Batman and Robin like killed the genre.
Right.
And then Bryan Singer, who is not a good person,
now we know,
is terrible. But those movies he took such an interesting approach, which was I'm really gonna adapt what these were originally made to be,
right,
into like a movie form. So say what you will about today's current comic book movie climate, where everything's kind of big and bold and exciting, and that's fine. Like they're great. They're much more experiences than they are films.
And if you're not saving the universe, then why do it at all?
Yes,
sure.
Which these are not.
These are not, but they're just really well done movies.
They are. They are.
They're like similar to like a Logan or a movie like that, where it's not necessarily about the universe. It's more just about these characters and this life. I mean, and Magneto is like a fantastic villain.
God, Magneto is so
Ian
good.
McKellen is so good. Yeah.
I mean, they're really good, and I would like to talk about it at some point as a proper segment, but later on. The other thing I'll say really quickly before we get to yours is something I was going to use for my pick of the week a couple weeks ago and I didn't. Is The Princess Bride is a really fun, cute movie I'd never seen before. And it's going on Disney Plus. So
I've never seen it. People tell me I'm like sacrilegious for not watching it.
You're gonna really like it. Rob Reiner, really fun action adventure movie, but also
did he direct
very heartfelt and sweet.
No,
I don't know. He's When Harry Met Sally and those kind of movies.
Yeah. Who directed Ghost? Ivan Reitman.
Rob Reiner is mainly like rom-coms.
Yes. But it's going on Disney Plus, which is, another one of those Fox things getting imported over. So that's cool. And Spencer, you should watch it when it gets put on.
I will definitely watch it.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Your turn.
My picks of the week. It was Earth Day this last week, if you didn't know. And on Earth Day, I watched this documentary miniseries called One Strange Rock from National Geographic, which is basically this like trippy, kind of at times scarily edited story of like Earth and like life on Earth and how it all began and how it's evolved and all this. And the best thing about it is it's hosted by Will Smith.
I know, right?
It's just like so weird pairing. It's well done, but like you'll get this like big science thing from like it's hosted by Will Smith, and he has like a panel basically of like astronauts and scientists who will tell different anecdotes.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll get this like crazy nature story where someone's like, when I was up above there, I saw like life and how like life was so small compared to like the rest of Earth. And Will Smith's like, when I'm making ramen and I put the seasoning in my bowl, it really flavors it up. When I put it in a lake, you don't taste the ramen at all. And that's like, it's basically like you'll get a science thing, and then Will Smith will give you like the craziest real world metaphor.
Weird.
And it's this really intense, like it's produced by Darren Aronofsky. So it's like this really intense like documentary that's super informative and like trippy, and it's edited weird. It's very like weird, like indie film documentary. And then at moments Will Smith's in like a sepia tint shot and he's like, yeah, man, Earth is wild.
Yeah.
You're like, what's going on? Like, why? I like Will Smith. Will Smith seems like a cool guy, but it's funny sometimes for reasons it shouldn't be funny, but it's also a really cool documentary. Yeah, I definitely recommend it. It's interesting. I watched it on Earth Day, and it was pretty trippy to think about life. It'll definitely send your head into a spiral.
Really?
And then another thing I watched on Disney Plus was this is a movie a lot of people have forgotten about, but Meet the Robinsons is really good. It's really sweet. It's definitely weird, like bizarre. It's like the Chicken Little days where Disney was greenlighting interesting things.
Yeah.
But I think Meet the Robinsons. I think Meet the Robinsons and I think Bolt during those times were actually both really good movies.
Those were like that Bolt, Dinosaur, Chicken Little. Those were like, it was like them versus Pixar, and they were just kind of shitting the bed.
DreamWorks, because DreamWorks was making different stuff. Like it was, they moved away from the princess movies, and then Tangled brought back the princess movies because I think Disney wanted to do something different because DreamWorks was doing something different. DreamWorks was making money making fun of princess movies with Shrek.
Right.
And then they, so Disney kind of changed their direction, and I think they realized that they shouldn't, that Disney is Disney for a reason. And then we got Tangled, and Frozen basically broke open the whole barrier of animated film. But yeah, Meet the Robinsons. It's good. It's a cute movie. I think the characters are really well done. It's super short. It's like an hour and 15 minutes. So check it out. It's heartwarming, but also One Strange Rock. If you want to watch Will Smith compare the inception of humanity to Top Ramen, I would watch it.
All right, nice. Well, I think we'll end things off there for now because we are super out of time and we've got nothing more to talk about. There's no news. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Disney Deconstructed Podcast. If you would like to further support our show and what we do, go ahead and visit us at anchor.fm/Disney Deconstructed. There you can see every listening platform we're currently available on. Visit our Instagram and YouTube page, send us messages related to the show, and even sign up to make monthly donations to further support us and keep these episodes rolling out in a timely fashion. Make sure to check out the rest of the Deconstructed Podcast Network and give us a follow on Twitter at Lain Calder, at Jake Moody 98, and at Spencer Bennett 7. You can also spread the word by telling a friend about our show and help us grow our small community of Disney fanatics. Again, thank you for listening, and we'll see you with more Disney news next week. Writing and producing for this episode of the Disney Deconstructed Podcast was done by my two co-hosts, Jake Moody and Spencer Bennett, and myself, Lain Calder. Editing was done by the three people that you've been listening to for the last couple hours, I assume. The music for our program was composed by Brandon LaBelle. The font for our logo was designed by Edward Pincava. Our beautiful faces were drawn by Sarah Bermudez. Thanks for joining us, and go have yourself a safe zippity-doo-dah day.